Hey, Bianca Angelico here, the creator of On Verve and your host. Welcome to a modern approach to customer experience podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And please make sure to subscribe, follow us, and share on social. We would love to hear your thoughts and your favorite takeaways. Let's jump straight into today's episode. Welcome back. Episode 2 of season 2. And today I have the incredible Gabbie with me. I'm going to let Gabbie introduce herself because Gabbie is my left or my right, depending on the day, sometimes both. You joined 8 months ago and it's been the best decision.
For you. For both of us.
Oh my gosh, I was like, okay.
Awkward.
I love how you just took that as a compliment. And didn't, Anyways, welcome to our crazy relationship. This is you going to get an insight into the head of ops and the director of On Verve.
And the day-to-day.
And the day-to-day. And what makes On Verve special. I think that's hopefully the takeaways or what you will learn from today. This is the episode that from season 1, everybody was downloading, listening to. So we are going to give it a bit of a refresh.
Nice.
Because where we were 18 months ago to where we are now is massively different. So I'm really excited to have you with us. I know you're a little bit nervous. That's why she's laughing so much.
I always laugh,
So Gabbie, who is Gabbie?
Gabbie is head of operations for On Verve. I came across On Verve about 8 months ago now. Bianca stole me from ASOS, but it's actually quite a funny story. We actually met a couple years before then with the emerging workplace leaders while I was still with JLL at Facebook. And we met but didn't really meet, and then kind of our paths crossed again when On Verve were delivering the services for ASOS, and we just connected. And essentially kind of a little bit longer down the line, I wanted to change and we were talking and it just felt right. So 8 months later, here I am at On Verve.
Gotta love the universe. Gotta love the universe, right?
Brings you back together for a reason. So really happy and loving it. So
amazing. So the first question I'm going to kick off with is, so when Gabbie started her career, she was a receptionist and now she's head of ops, which I think is phenomenal. And so she truly understands that delivery, being on that front line, how, the impacts, the challenges you face, and now then being that strategic lens is very different. So my first question is your journey from receptionist to head of ops. Through that time, what has been the biggest change that you have seen in the industry?
I think the change is the expectation. I think when I was a receptionist, it was people were in a different space. It was pre the C word, COVID, pre-COVID, and kind of the expectations and the wants from the office were a lot different. I think you could come in and the expectation was you came in 5 days a week and people were just there. And then fast forward, people now want something different, like their desires for what their life looks like and that balance. So I think the change is really kind of what the output is and what people want from their day-to-day within the office. But also I think the talent, recruitment is so hard. And I don't know whether it's because I'm now in this more strategic role, but I find it really hard to find good talent. And it's kind of what makes, for me, On Verve so special is that we look for those nuggets and those people that just sparkle. And I struggle with really coming through and seeing those people that just want to do a good job and want to be in the workplace versus just wanting a job. So I think it's kind of a combination of the two of, finding those people and kind of meeting the expectations of what the workplace now looks like and having to be more dynamic and kind of pivoting in the right direction and not knowing what that direction is and just being ready to just move with the times and just do it. So I think it's the balance of, there was a rule book beforehand and you could kind of expect what you had to do as a receptionist, and it was very bit more robotic, definitely. But now for us anyway, and the clients that we have, they want something that is a human and someone that just brings their own personality and just it's just something real to the workplace. So I think that's probably for me kind of the biggest shift between receptionist to head of ops in terms of timeline.
No, I totally agree. And I think that's a perfect summary of those key points that has changed, and also what clients' expectation on us and us as an employer's
Yeah.
expectation on our day makers.
Yeah, definitely.
So just about, we were talking about that experience part, you know, how that's changed from cookie cutter, very here's how you do it, to now is a bit more, we want the human centric vibe. So what does guest and employee experience mean to you?
Yeah. I'm that person that reads a review. Like, I care what other people think about something. So before I go to a restaurant, I read the review. If it's under 4.2, I'm probably not going. But I care, like, and I want to see what the feedback has been. So for me, like, it's very much my day-to-day life. I walk into a coffee shop, and if the vibe's off, I'm like, it sets people up for what their day or how their day ends. And I think it's so important, and people overlook what those roles mean to someone. And I think for me, genuinely caring, whether that's about kind of in the workplace or outside in just my personal life, like both a guest and employee experience is just so important for kind of what can then come off the back of that. I think as soon as you make someone's day or you engage and you have that rapport, like it just sets that individual up for success for the day, even in the smallest way, but it also sets you up for just being the best of yourself and really being in a space that makes you happy. Like, we're at work for way too long, 5 days a week, like depending on how many hours you work. And I think people forget how important it is to just really be yourself and to be happy within that space. So for me, it's genuinely everything. It's everything I think of, whether it's the bus driver saying good morning or me saying thank you for the ride. And it's just everything, how you engage with people. And I think being in a people space for me is, just so important.
So you love feedback.
I do.
Why so much? I know you just talked about it a bit, but like as an individual, you love feedback, love receiving it.
I love,
which is rare.
Feedback, People
love. I mean, and you don't take the negative feedback in a negative way. You see it as an opportunity. But why? Where did that come from?
I think for me, so I started as a receptionist, and kind of long story short, I didn't plan to be in the facilities or guest services space. I kind of just fell into it, which I think most people did. I know.
Oh my gosh,
Can you
just
believe
say that?
I know. But I think for me, I grew up within the workspace as quickly as I did because of the feedback that I received. I received really harsh feedback sometimes. I received really positive feedback. And I think that's what gave me the confidence to believe that I could take the next steps within my journey. But also I think it's how you grow. Like, how do I know what I'm doing well if I don't receive feedback? How do I know what I'm not doing well? How do I know if my communication is the right type for that person? Like, I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to know everything, and I want to grow. And I just think without kind of that two-way street of communication, like, how will I ever know? I think when you take feedback on, and hey, it's not always going to be positive, it's just let it, just learn from what people were saying. They might not deliver it in the best way, but I think but how you take those nuggets of information and the perception of what they potentially have on you can just kind of elevate you to next level. So for me, I love receiving feedback, but I also think it's really important to give feedback at the same time, because the same way I feel about it, potentially other people haven't had that same experience. So how do I know that one of my team don't know how to, or potentially communicate in the right way? If I don't give that feedback as their manager, like, they're not going to grow. And actually, we're not having the best relationship with the client, because essentially they're doing something that could just stop us at a point that actually we could grow so much further if they knew something that potentially they don't know already. So I think it's full circle. Like, it needs to be a two-way street. I'm not here dictating, kind of just throwing it out there, but I think it's important to receive as well as give. So yeah.
Does the team give you feedback?
I definitely encourage it more. Like, for me, like, whenever I'm talking to them, whether it be kind of an informal one-to-one or like a formal, I say, like, do you have anything for me? Because like, this isn't just, me telling you you're not doing this or you're doing this. And like, I do try to like tell them, like.
But do they?
They do. I think at the beginning when I first started, it was like, oh, like, people have different styles of managers. Like, it's just natural. And I think it shocks people, some more than others. But yeah, they're definitely in a space now where I think they feel comfortable to give me feedback. For me, it's very much how you deliver that feedback. I'm not just wanting you to, just chuck stuff at me. And I'm like, it needs to be delivered in the right way. But yeah, they definitely do. And I'll continue to kind of go down that path with them of just tell me, just be open.
Amazing. So Verve's got multiple sites, multiple clients. in many different geographic locations.
Yep.
And you look after all of that.
Yep, I do.
Is that what you signed up for?
Oh,
yeah. How do we ensure that we are delivering that consistent vibe, energy, feel of on Verve Daymakers?
I think it's difficult, just to genuinely be honest. I think we have clients that see something in us and they sign up for us because they're like, that's what I want. But actually, it doesn't always play out like that in their environment. So I think for me, it's very much creating a standard for that client. So that standard might be completely different for two different clients. And that standard might be different for the different sites that they have. But if there's something that meets in the middle where there's that consistency that, right, you've got a site in Manchester and you've got a site in London, two completely different types of employees that work there. But if you've got that standard in the middle that actually everything kind of gets brought back to, and that ethos and the why and the how and that identity, I suppose, as to who the company is, but also who are we and why are we delivering that service, I think that's kind of the easiest way of creating that standard, is the easiest way to create consistency amongst them. And I think that's how teams best learn, is if they can see what it is that they need to do. Like, do it in your own way. That's the whole point of us. Like, we want everyone to be authentic in their own person, but they need something to hold on to and something to kind of refer back to. So creating a standard, for me anyway, is the best way to take people on the journey. And that's how you kind of engage with the client. And you're like, actually, what about this? What about that? And they might not know their standard, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to put our stamp in it, guide them, and just be like, this is what we're thinking. Like, there's going to be trial and error 100%. We need to know feedback from the employees. Do they like that way?
Oh, the feedback word is back.
Feedback always. But like, what is the right level? And sometimes you need to like trial and error. So yeah, for me, it's that standard and then just building on it.
So when we talk about the standard, are we talking about the culture? Do you
100%.
think?
It's the culture, but it's also what is the requirement of the role. Okay. So I think the culture is very much for us matching what the client's culture is. Like, we've got an array of different types of businesses. We've got corporate, we've got tech, that actually are people, some of them can be more chameleons than others. So it kind of leads into the recruitment. Who is that person? Understanding the client's culture, but also aligning that with Verve's culture, because the people that we recruit for the roles need to be right for that culture, but also need to be right for us. So I think it's the culture and really just driving home the why and how. How are we delivering that service? Why has the client signed up to us? What have we sold them to then be able to deliver that to them? Because I think the sales part of it is like, you're selling, like, we're on Verve, like, they've seen something, but yeah, putting that in their space is completely different to what we've sold to them. And we need the people to do that for us. Like, I'm not the front line. I can't be the person that's there day in and day out. So I need to take people on that journey, and the account managers need to do the same thing in creating the culture from the client side, but also from on Verve side as well.
So in summary, consistency is created by the standard and culture. It's about having a clear vision, I guess, from the client around what is that role, main objectives and focus, right? Because each client, we've got receptionist, true receptionist, but then we have our daymaker role, and we'll explain what a daymaker is shortly. You know, so there's a very much different. We've got porters, we've got workplace experience assistants. So there's such an array. However, I think there's still a line between every person that's works with
100%.
us. You know, and I think that comes down to very much that passion, and that energy that they care.
Exactly.
Because,
and that's where the recruitment comes into it. And that's why I said previously, it's so hard to find the right person, because to be a daymaker, you have to care. And I want those type of people, because otherwise I just don't think we're going to be as successful as what we say we're going to be without our team and the daymakers and those individuals really kind of taking it home and believing in the vision. Like, essentially, they need to believe what we believe. Otherwise, it's just not really going to transpire in the same way when we're there with the client and delivering that service. So, yeah.
So we've mentioned daymaker.
Yes.
We use this terminology.
Yeah.
It's copyrighted. Can't use it. Sorry, anybody else. Only for OV. Why do we use it, and what does it actually mean?
Daymaker. So I'm sure everyone that hasn't kind of come across it before. For me, I was like, DayMaker. But I think if you break it down to as simple as the word is, it's someone that makes someone's day. And that's what we're here to provide. I think where clients have such difference in terms of what service they want us to provide, that needs to be the core to it all, hence why the recruitment. But a DayMaker truly is just someone delivering a service to make someone's day. So that might be within a porterage role, that might be within a corporate receptionist role, but it's identifying how you do that. And that's what we give our DayMakers the tools to do. Like, there's no rule book to say this is how you make someone's day. There's no rule book to say you say X, Y, and Z, and then you say goodbye. Like, it's bringing your own energy and your own authenticity and your own personality to make someone's day. I've got a completely different relationship with another client, but it's my personality, so I can play on that. You have a completely different relationship. So it's like we can make someone's day in a different way, but that's authentic to me and that's authentic to you. So it's allowing people to be their true self while delivering the best service that they can. And then ultimately is a shared goal between us.
I think we all got a volume, right?
100%,
like I can go max to being an extrovert, but there's times where I need to go completely min to my introvert, where I literally will tell my partner, having an introvert moment right now, which means leave me alone. And I'm watching my series and I just want to not think, talk, somebody to help me solve a problem. I just need a moment to reset. You definitely have your volume. Like, this is you at your max because you prefer to be more.
Oh, I'm so much more an introvert. And people always think, really? Like, but I know how to, and it's something that I've had to learn to do, but I know how to turn it on when I need to turn it on. And me at home in my pajamas is very much just like, oh, I just want to, just don't talk to me. I don't want to engage. Like, I just want to like, just leave me alone type of thing. Like, I've left parties because I'm like, oh, I just, like, this is just too much. Like, my social
you host parties at your house, massive parties at your house. And just so we all, I just want to share this about Gabbie. She, like, when you go to a house, I've actually never been, but this is so stories I've heard. Maybe an invite will come at some stage.
I thought what you're going to say now. I'm like,
she puts like plastic on like the floors so that people don't ruin the carpets. That's how OCD and like, you know, she creates a party, has a DJ, and she plans it like, I've heard all the planning of it. And it's to a T. You can tell she's a DayMaker because she wants every person to feel like they've had an amazing, out of this world experience. But at the same time, needs to be clean and tidy.
It needs to be to my standards. But like, for me, like, for instance, parties, like, I'm not main character energy. Like, I couldn't think of anything worse for me. Like,
is this too much for you?
Oh, even this, I'm like, this is pushing me out of my comfort zone. But like, it's nice. I enjoy being pushed out of my comfort zone, but I'm not main character energy. And I think what works well for me within this role and our relationship is that we can, like, I'm like, Bianca, I need you to be that 20% for me because I've just come out of a really crap meeting and my energy's low and I know we're going into a tender, but like, I need you to help. And that's what's nice, is that we can have that real open communication and be like, just boost it up a bit for me, or like we can match and just find that 100%. But yeah, for me, like, if I don't have to be, I'm not main character energy, but I know how to, in certain situations, turn it on because it's needed. And if I need to be the leader of that energy in the room to help my team bring it up, then I know that I have to do that as well. So yeah, definitely more of an introvert for sure.
You'll see some of our trump cards coming out. So you'll get to meet some of our team. And it'll tell them who's an introvert and an extrovert and a bit about them. So stay tuned.
But don't you find as well that most of our team have said they're introverts?
I know, I found that really weird.
Which again is weird because I think there's this whole thing around the energy, but energy is very much applicable to the space and the time.
However, so we've just hired, so Alice has come back to us. We'll meet her and about her progression and her story. But then we've also hired Cole. And they are two extroverts. Which is really, like, did we do that by accident?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know, because we noticed,
maybe,
because before, when we did the cards, we were noticing that we had so many introverts. And we were thinking, and most people think, I'm an introvert, so I can't work in guest services.
It's so untrue. So untrue. You just need to know how to apply yourself to that situation. But again, I think that's what makes us so special, is that we don't need you to be an introvert. We just need you to bring yourself, however you apply yourself to that role, and knowing what that role is. I think it's our responsibility to be honest as part of that recruitment stage. What is the role and what is the requirement for that person to then identify if that's the right role for them as well. I think sometimes you can get a little bit like bamboozled in an interview or as part of the recruitment process to sell you the dream and this place is fantastic and this is like, oh yeah. And then you get there and you're just like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So for us, I think and I've seen it, obviously we're recruiting at the moment. Like, we are very honest with people. Like, we're telling you, it's not all sunshine and roses. You're going to have crappy days sometimes and we need you to pull your socks up. But they're then the people that succeed within our space, I think, anyway.
So just talking about the culture, and you've mentioned you were a client before and now you full OV
back on partner side,
what you saw as a client about On Verve's culture and then actually living it and then supporting it. What is the biggest difference?
Okay.
And what would you say, oh my gosh, I never saw that from the client side. Or I saw it and I didn't really believe it. So what, myths or something did you see from that perspective to now living it?
I'd say, because for me, my last role was my first client side role. Previous to that, I'd always been partner side. So I see kind of doing it and really like having to pull your socks up and like get stuck in. And I think that role that I've just left, seeing it from a client side is so different because you don't get the ins and outs of kind of the culture necessarily, like internally, like what we do internally with On Verve, like the client wouldn't see that. We can talk about it, but they don't feel that energy that everyone has when they're chucking memes across and just like
we love gifts,
happy birthday gifts, everything. And they don't see that. So I think that's kind of hard for a client to see. And it's obviously our responsibility to transcend that across to them. But I think in terms of what I loved and what I saw from On Verve originally was that it wasn't that cookie cutter approach. It seemed different. And obviously at that time I could only go with seemed because it was just the start of the delivery of the service. But there was just something about it. And it's always, for me, it's really hard to put into words because I'm very much a feelings person. Like every role that I've taken within my career, I need to feel like this is the right role. If it's not the right role, I'm just like, there's something off. Like I'm not going to do it because whether that be the culture within them, whether that be the diversity within the company, whether that be the person that I'm interviewing with, like for me, it's always a feeling and I'm just like, no or yes. So that kind of pushes me in the right direction. And I think for me, On Verve just seemed like they wanted to do better and they wanted to do different. So I think for me, that's what my kind of first attraction to On Verve was. But then seeing it being delivered, there was definitely struggles. Like I don't think there's any need to hide that.
People were meant to 2P.
Yeah,
went live day one and we had one out of the team of, what was it?
5?
No, because that was, you think of GLH.
Oh,
and then, it was wild.
Bigger.
It was bigger and it was hard. I was on the desk for a couple of months. So I was doing dual roles.
but that's what I like. You just get stuck in and ultimately the goal is to deliver the best service. So whether that's you sitting
lead
on the
from
desk,
the front, right?
100%. Otherwise, like, what are your team seeing? Just someone talking at them from the top down. Like that doesn't feel like the type of company that I want to employ people for anyway. So I think, just seeing it now internally, it's so special. And I think one of our biggest challenges is making sure that clients see that, but when they buy into it, they get a glimpse as to that. So I think that's what kind of...
And we've had some great stories, right? Where some of our daymakers have just started recently and 2 incredible team members that we've just recruited who's been with us for nearly 2 months, 3 months. We've now, from the back of them, delivering this incredible experience and service.
Clients are raving.
They're raving. And we've just won an extra site with them.
Off the back of it.
So it's not about us anymore.
At all.
It's not. It's actually about the daymakers.
Yes.
All we do is help guide and lead.
But that's what's nice. I'm like, I love the fact that we've employed, but that's just such a great success story. Is that person's been here 2 months, and from our full recruitment process to our culture calls to the day that they first started to the induction, everything, they clearly understand what it is that we're trying to do to then implement that within 2 months. And off the back of that, the client, 1, raving about them, but 2, then being like, I want a copy and paste of that person. Here's your additional site.
Which is a challenge.
And I'm like, okay.
We hire individuals, we don't do robots.
We'll do our best. But just winning that business, like for me, it doesn't get better than that. So
you kind of just talked about culture calls.
Yep.
Talked about day one and induction.
Mm-hmm.
Give a real high level snapshot of what does day one onwards look like for a new daymaker joining this crazy, fun, diverse,
crazy,
trailblazing.
Yep.
You name it. We've got all the adjectives.
Day one is special, and we really focus on it being special because I think that just sets you up, really, doesn't it? That's your first glimpse into the company, the engagement between kind of the wider daymaker community. It really is kind of your first, this is where I'm going to work, right? So day one, no matter whether you're frontline, manager, don't care what your role is, day one, you get introduced into the group chat. And that is kind of your manager or whoever kind of introducing you. Hey, this is Gabbie. She's like a couple of fun facts about her. And then you just get floods of daymakers like, welcome, like all of these gifts. And it's just so fun because that's the right energy that you want from day one, right? You want to feel welcome and you want to feel like you've joined the right company to do the right role. So I think it just sets that person up for success. And then it's really just giving them the real overview of what we need from them, but also what do they need from us. I think it's, as I said, a two-way street and we want to set them up for success, but what do they need to be successful and what does the client need, and really just listening to them. So day one is truly all about, this is going to be where you're going to work. These are your team. Reach out to this person. You've got a buddy. Like, ask that person the questions that you think are potentially silly, that you don't want to embarrass yourself. Like, it's never embarrassing, but you have that feeling sometimes like, I probably should know that. Or so you've got that person to just bounce off of and you get to see other sides. So kind of the synopsis of day one and onwards is day one, you get the energy, you understand who OV are.
You get a friend.
Like, you get a friend and you just get to feel confident within the role and your decision. And then onwards, you're set up with kind of a plan and just those regular check-ins and just making sure the client is engaged with you as well. I think that's so important to make sure that they have been part of the recruitment process. They've helped choose you in some circumstances. So actually making sure you're on the right path and just, again, that feedback. Is it where am I where I'm meant to be, and am I succeeding? So yeah, it's a full focus on that induction and just bringing the energy.
Setting them up for success.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
what it is, right?
Yeah,
and
it's important.
Giving you that sense and that feeling that what we've told you through that recruitment
is true.
Is true, right? It's not just, I hope we're not that kind of company that sells a dream and then never delivers it. And I know we don't even try and do that with our clients. Mm-hmm. We truly sell what we believe. And yes, sometimes there is ups and downs of that.
100%.
But that's what you were saying earlier. It's about tailoring because a client might have an idea of what they want, but in reality, when you deliver it, it doesn't fit like something, or the culture or the structure of the building or the structure of the rotas. And it's about adapting. So I think it's all very much about day one gives you that boom, that bang.
And having that voice, I suppose. Having the voice to be able to be like, I don't think this works, or have you thought about this? And like, as it's like, we don't know all the answers. So yeah, like give us what you think. Like, you're the one there living it. If you've had feedback from employees, like tell us what people were saying so that we can continue to make it tailored.
So the feedback question is back. You love a feedback.
Love feedback.
Ooh, your favorite F word. Your favorite F word.
Better.
So how is the team giving us, you, fine, we'll use the royal us for this one, to ensure we're delivering trailblazing services? Do you have an example of one that somebody's asked us to do or implement? And it doesn't always have to be for the client. It could also just be for us as daymakers. Because sometimes we just focus so much on the client. We love your clients. We don't want to leave. But without focusing on the daymakers, you can't deliver that amazing experience to the client.
Yeah.
So what feedback have we received and then implemented it from our daymaker team?
Ooh, feedback has very much, it obviously differs depending on the site, but I think, so feedback, for instance, one of our sites, the team were working 45-hour days and hours.
You want to start again? Whew. Okay, question being said.
Yeah. So I think feedback from one of our sites was that the team were working 45-hour weeks, and realistically for them.
And so it was 45 hours paid plus a 1 hour unpaid lunch.
Exactly.
So 50 hours.
So 50. Like
50 hours on site.
Starting at 7:30, finishing when it gets dark. And ultimately for them, like they understood the need of the client and why. But the feedback was that it was having an impact. Like they were unhappy because they were getting up at the crack of dawn and getting to work and leaving later, and they were delivering a great service. Like there's nothing denying about that. But they just didn't feel
burnout.
Yeah, like they were tired, they were burnt out. Like it was just a lot, which 100% I think that would be natural to anyone. So
and being on like on
but that's what
demand
people
when
forget
someone
about sometimes.
they forget when you're at a reception desk and someone comes to you like, hey,
you've got to switch it back on, and like we all have our bad days, right?
Yeah.
And no one's happy all the time, and I think people genuinely forget that it's hard to always be that front person that sets the other person up for success and sets them up for their day. But actually, like, what about you? And I think that's what's, again, so important for us, is that we're always having these conversations with the team and managing the balance. So actually, if it's a team and you've got a couple of people on the desk, like they can pick it up because, you know, you're having a bad day. But off the back of that, the feedback was that,
too long.
It was too long. So what did we do? We had the conversations with the client. We built the business case. We gave them the data.
Redesigned the rota.
Like really sold them the why as to why this was important for both our team, but also
well-being, mental health,
how it can excel in terms of the delivery of what they're doing and their customers and their clients. Ultimately, success. We've changed it. We've now got an additional headcount to allow the team to be able to do that 40 hours. And I think we're obviously in the process of it at the moment, but I've got no doubt that it will just bring.
It's just going to like go to a different level.
The trajectory is just going to be amazing. And like already just the feedback off the back of them knowing that this is happening is thank you. Like you listened, you heard what we were saying. Like we might not be the ones sitting there on the desk, but we really fought for what they've said and what we believe in to ultimately gain success off the back of it. So yeah, it's so important just to then understand what it is that they're feeling and what their day-to-day looks like to then kind of elevate and improve.
Amazing. We love feedback. Well, you love feedback. Yeah. That's your favorite F word. Something else that's close to your heart personally is diversity and inclusion. Mm-hmm. Why is it important to you personally? Mm-hmm. And how does On Verve and you support it within our culture?
So for me, it's really important just because I am from an ethnic minority. So I always want to bang that drum where I can to support others. And I think for me, the biggest thing is representation. And I'm proud and I love the fact that I can represent and I can showcase the fact that I've had a journey. Here I am as head of operations, and it hopefully will attract more people from diverse backgrounds to apply for roles. Like I've said it before, and I think every role that I go into for me is so important as to what that culture, what is the diversity within the team. I don't want to be that person that's the only person that looks like that, or just an outsider in a way. Like that's such a horrible feeling. So I am very targeted in terms of where I go within my employment. So yeah, it's really important. And I think what On Verve are doing and what I can support with is just allowing people to be themselves. Like I'm Black, I'm a female, like great, but that's not the only diversity within our team. Yeah. Like we are predominantly female led, and actually it then kind of swings the other way that we're lacking in men. So let's attract more men. Let's attract anyone from any diverse community, anyone. Just be yourself and really bring yourself to it, because it doesn't need to be, as I said, that cookie cutter approach. You don't need to look a certain way to be a daymaker. And I think it just really hits home for me that I can make a difference and I can influence and contribute to what our journey and what our success within that space looks like. So it's not anything in particular. I think I personally can get quite irritated with kind of what's chucked out on LinkedIn around Black History Month and just kind of those buzzwords where they're like, tick, yeah, it's that holiday or that celebration, tick, we've done it, and just flooding it with posters. And you're just like, that for me isn't what it's about. And I think unless you have the consistency as to what you're doing to help or to support or to celebrate those people, just don't do it, because it's more damaging than it is positive. And I think if you ask more people within a diverse background, they'd probably say the same thing. So I'm happy that I get to have that influence in kind of the marketing that we do and what actually matters to people within different communities, and the fact that we can then open it up to our teams and being like, great, it might be Pride, or it might be Hanukkah, or whatever it might be, we have people that we can kind of touch base with and see whether it's the right tone, or are we actually thinking what we're doing is positive within the industry, or are we just trying to chuck it out there to celebrate a holiday? And it's just like, let's just be authentic and let's be real about what we're trying to do. What is the aim of what we're doing? And if it doesn't have heart and if it doesn't match our ethos, let's just not do it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Let's not join the train that
The
everyone else
bandwagon,
that everyone, it's not our style, right? We've always been
so
very
different
much
to that.
How can we rewrite the rules?
Yeah.
Rather than just go with the flow.
Yep, definitely.
And get lost in the big sea.
Yeah. Of just another company doing it, changing doing
it for the money.
Like,
and I, doing it. Yes, we do want to be profitable.
Of course.
Who doesn't? Without profit, we can't invest and grow. But at the same time, there is that human people
element to it, yeah.
Putting people first, and we really do like.
So one of our values.
It is,
for a reason. Yeah.
So, also just talking about D&I, you recently supported Ellie.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that initiative that she created, but you were...
So Ellie kind of put her hand up and she said, I want to do something for International Women's Day. And Ellie is one of our frontline team. She's a true kind of day maker. She is just everything you want within someone that wants to grow. Like, she has heart, she tries, and she's going places.
And she's honest.
She's honest, and she just essentially just keeps it real and really tells you what it is working, what isn't working. And that's why we're able to really just elevate what we do at her site. So Ellie put her hand up and she was like, I want to do something for International Women's Day. And she was like, can you help me? I was like, absolutely. But also, can you do a little bit about your journey, and just support me within kind of what I'm trying to do? And I think it was so nice to know that she's pushing herself out of her comfort zone anyway. It was the first time that she's on that
She
platform.
thought you and I were going to present.
Yeah,
and we said,
no, this is you. Like, we'll back you and we'll support you, but this is you. This is your initiative. Like, we want you to drive this. And just her smile after and just how she felt, and everyone then sending the feedback in the group chat after, like, oh, Ellie, you smashed it. Well done. Like, that's what it's all about. And for me, and kind of my contribution to that was really just allowing her to have a platform and supporting her and boosting her, putting my 2 pence in about kind of my own story and what that looked like, but allowing her to really shine. And I think sometimes it's just having someone there to support you in doing what you're doing, rather than kind of being out on an island by yourself and thinking, oh, is this working? Is this not? So it's, finding the right balance of contributing while allowing others to shine, and just the support that goes with that.
And now she's paying it forward by supporting Georgie for Mental Health Awareness Week.
So it's just had a knock-on effect. And again, that's where it comes from. You've got an idea, you don't know if your idea is going to be good, successful, but we allow the team to trial that, and look where it's come.
Amazing. So if anybody was interested in joining us, what tips would you give them?
Okay.
Especially for like the interview stage, CVs. Yes, we're passionate about personality. However, you can bring your personality, but sometimes you can go too far, right? Isn't there? Definitely. Especially when you don't know each other. Like, I go too far with you at times, and overshare too much.
Just rein you back in. Enough, Bianca.
However, there's a baseline relationship.
Exactly.
But sometimes individuals can be a bit much because they've read that we're all about personality, and all about
this. Just take it on the other end of the spectrum.
So what tips do you have for them for CVs, interview stage, and then I guess like a little bit of a elevator pitch why they should apply for a job that we've got going?
All right. Recruitment and applying for a role, particularly for us, we see so many people and you get so many applications. So for me, kind of the key things are your CV. Like, everyone knows this about me. I'm like formatting queen. Like, please, like, I think it's just this
one of your bugbears.
It's one of my bugbears. Like, have it be the same font, make sure it's aligned, make sure you're giving the right type of information. I think because we see so many CVs, and particularly for me, is that personal profile at the top. That's kind of your time to shine. Like, you'll have loads of people that have worked in a similar background or might not have had experience, but that's what I look for. Like that's kind of
that's your personality, right?
That's your personality. That's the couple of sentences that I'm going to read and be like, oh, like
I would be interested in giving a culture call.
Yeah,
Even you might not have experience, but there's something there that I'm
like that
intrigued.
attracts me to you. Yeah. So I think it's so key to kind of hit that and make sure that that's reflective of you, because that is essentially what will set you aside from anyone else. So have that on point. Put the right type of information in there. Make sure it's easy information to read, not long sentences that kind of people just drift off and they're like, just put that one to the side. Like you want people to just understand, boom, 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 this is what I know of X.
Clear, concise.
This is why I want to kind of have a conversation and reach out. So I think from a CV perspective, that clear, formatting, concise, and personality. And then from the interview stage, it's really simple. Just do your homework, please.
Yes.
Like, please don't turn up to an interview and you don't know kind of just the core values of the company. Like, no one's kind of expecting, well, we're not expecting you to like deep dive into like, oh, you started here and you were 5. Like, just, it doesn't need to be the real detail of it all, but know enough that you can talk about it. I think it's something that catches loads of people out. And ultimately, we want people that believe in our vision. So if you haven't done the homework of why you're applying and what our vision is, it puts you on the wrong foot.
Like if I think of Doofy, I think of Dory.
Yep.
You know, they both applied for a role and then they weren't successful.
Yep.
And then they still applied again, but they had done their research and they were so passionate. Like they really loved the concept and the idea of that they could be themselves.
Exactly.
They could be authentic.
Yep.
That we truly were about people.
Exactly.
And passionate about personality. And, you know, and now they're thriving.
And we are what we say on the tin. I think it's really how, like, first impressions count, and people are nervous in interviews. Like, no matter what level you're at, you're going to be nervous at some point. Some people hide it more than others, but come prepared with a little bit of background, but also show your personality. For us in particular, that's what attracts us. We have Isabel, who worked in a pub and didn't have any corporate workplace experience. And the fact that, like, Isabel is genuinely thriving, the amount of clients that I get emails from, or the account manager saying, oh, can we hire Isabel? And it's like, the fact that we've been able to set someone up in that space, someone that hasn't had
period of time.
Such a short period. What, she's been with us
3 months?
3 months, less than 3 months. And again, she's helping us win new business. And there's not a lot of companies that will do that for you if you haven't. Like, how do I get experience if I haven't had experience?
Oh,
like,
it's the same when I moved. And part of the reason, like, for me, for OV, and why one of the values we created was passion about personality, was because when I moved to this country 12 years ago, I had a degree. Mm-hmm. I owned a restaurant with my dad in South Africa. I had worked from the age of 16 while I, was at school and stuff. But when I moved here, not one person would give me a chance. Not one person, because the constant thing was, you have no UK corporate experience. How am I going to get
that if no one gives it to me?
And like, it was hard. The only job like I kept getting offered or kind of come for like second stages was, I'm calling it in South Africa like Tupperware sales. You know, the kind of concept of like people standing on the street trying to make you sign up for stuff. And there's nothing wrong with it. But
it's not what you wanted to do.
It's not what I wanted to do. And I also didn't move from a country that is a third world country to come to a first world country to then be on the street.
Yeah.
I would rather go back home and, do something there. Yeah. And so I had to pivot. I wanted a marketing job, couldn't get one. So I applied for assistant roles.
Exactly.
And then I've worked my way up from the ground.
And the fact that we're then able to potentially give other
and pay it forward
that space.
Right.
To do similar is just amazing. And we've got clients now saying to us, again, we want a copy and paste of Isabel. And it's like, that's amazing though. Like, for me, I didn't go to university. Like, I chose not to go to university. And the fact that I can help people know that they don't necessarily need to go down that route as well, amazing. So
that's why we're the best.
Yes, we are.
And that's our elevator pitch.
Work it on Verve.
So last question.
Yeah.
Prediction. Mm-hmm. One prediction for the next year for On Verve, because we're just about to turn 3.
Yes, we are.
So what is your prediction for this following year?
Ooh. Well, in an easy sense, growth. Like, we are being flooded with growth, and I love it. Like, I love it. Keeps
We're
me on my
struggling
toes.
to keep up.
Like, it keeps me on my toes, but the growth is amazing. So I think the easy answer is growth. I think we'll be supported with technology and people and just new ways of thinking and new ways of doing things. So I don't think there's a particular like sector or space or exactly what it is, other than the fact that we're going to grow. And I think that more people are catching on, and people buy from people, essentially. So the fact that we're winning business and we've got people that are enjoying their roles and we're winning business off the back of that, I see nothing but growth, but also people wanting to jump on the journey with us to kind of moving in a space that's different. The first question you asked was, what's changed since being a receptionist to a head of operations? And it's people want something different now. So I think the fact that we're really trailblazing that stance and that way of working is only going to lead to more and more. So yeah, definitely an exciting year ahead. I think it will, yeah.
You know that now that when you complain about growth, I'm now going to show this video to you and say that you predicted it.
Gabbie,
you put it out there to the universe. So don't complain.
There's growth. There's growth coming.
Growth from like, you know, new sites, new team.
Everything.
But also growth for us as individuals and our team.
Definitely. Like being able to, because with that growth as well, I suppose it's being able to promote people to more senior positions or identifying a space that we don't have a role, but actually that person can fill that role because they've got the OV heart. And they've actually,
we can give them the training or go get
the
them
tools and just
apprenticeship.
Support them. Yeah, there's so much out there that I think if we can, I always love supporting our people and helping them develop. Whether they then go off to another company, it's natural, right? Like,
we know that. We know not everyone's going to stay.
Right? Look at us. We've worked in however many different jobs. So I think it's silly to think that people are going to stay forever.
I just want people to leave going, when I was out on Verve, I learned this, I learned that, or I created this. And this is, it wasn't just a job. I wasn't just a number.
Yeah. I felt like I made a difference or I contributed to something, and happy to write you a CV.
You're going to write a CV. Everybody, if you're looking for some help on a CV writing, Gabbie's here for you.
I probably would, to be fair.
Because you would rather receive a really good CV than
a good formatted CV. I'll send you a good formatted CV. There you go.
So we need to wrap this up.
Yep.
Because I think we might be going over our time. But that just shows how much fun we have. So wildcard round.
Yeah.
You have not seen this. And I don't know if I've actually seen them properly. What I've read. So office traditions.
Okay.
If we would create one new weekly tradition, would you choose weekly Wellness Wednesday or weekly learning lunches?
Wellness Wednesday.
Definitely.
Why? I think it's just important. Like it's a nice midweek, like refresh. Let's kind of reset and then kind of
keep going
for the end of the week. So Wellness Wednesday, definitely.
Tech enhanced experiences. Right. So if we can incorporate technology into guest experience, would you opt in for virtual reality tour of the company's facilities or an interactive app that provides personalized recommendation and information during your time in the office?
I'd probably go virtual reality. Yeah, but that's only because that's the FM in me where I'm like, I know, but like, I think it's so important to, I'd love to know what a space looks like and feels like so that I can then help with the guest experience. So
bring it back.
virtual reality.
And this is why we complement each other. I go from that angle and you go from that angle.
2 different angles.
And then we meet in the middle.
Exactly.
And last one, community engagement and initiatives. Mm-hmm. So to enrich the guest experience, would you choose to involve guests in a community service project where they can give back to the local community, or a networking event where they can connect with other industry professionals and thought leaders?
Networking. I think it's so important about who you know.
Oh, it's going to be controversial. We're going to get loads of comments going, what, you don't care about people?
I love people. I think, it's all about who you know. My previous roles have been through people that I've known.
I've gotten jobs through networking.
Pointing me in the right direction. So, I think it's hard to get into that space as well. And it's definitely like,
and uncomfortable networking.
Yeah. I genuinely, I don't really like it. I have to push myself out of my comfort zone to do it.
Yeah, she always cancels on me.
No, I don't. But the benefit, I know the benefits outweigh my fear of kind of being in a space and having to talk about myself. So yeah, definitely networking.
So thank you
No problem.
for joining me today for season 2, episode 2. We really covered a lot.
We did.
I mean, I'm trying to think of like how to summarize it. It was really about the changes we've seen from when you started as a receptionist to now, which was very much focused from that cookie cutter to now being human centric.
Definitely.
The culture of On Verve, which is not just what we say, is what we do. About being individuals, bringing your full self, being honest, and that we personalize everything to each client, to each individual. And also each site, because clients can have multiple sites and each site is so different, so different. And that, you know, all the things that we've done, we listened. Feedback was massive in our chat. Your favorite F word. And that it's not a negative, it's a positive. And without that, you can't grow.
Exactly.
So it's really linked to that growth mindset. Like having growth mindset will take you far. And I think just that prediction, and I'm going to close out on that because I know Gabbie's going to go, can't keep up. Growth. Personally, the team and our client base, while retaining.
Exactly. Yep.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
For this episode. Please let us know your thoughts, your feedback. We really want to hear that F word down below. So share that with us, and then stay tuned for our 3rd episode and the final episode of this season, which is where you'll hear from Farah, Lauren, and Alice about their journey, their progression, and their return to On Verve.
It's a good one. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for listening to the Modern Approach to Customer Experience podcast. Please make sure to subscribe, follow us, and share on social media. We would love to hear your thoughts and your favorite takeaways from today's show. For more information, visit www.on-verve.com or find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, either at on_Verve or we are on Verve. Until next time.